Today, we will talk about the impression compound. Impression compound, also known as a modeling compound, impression compound, basically rigid, thermoplastic, and reversible type of impression material. The uses of impression compounds are for primary impression of edentulous ridges for bottom moldings, single tooth impression used as a spatial trait for maxillofacial prosthesis. Mode of supply in a cake form, sticks, cone, and cylinders. Now, impression compound classified into two types. Type 1 impression compound, also known as a low fusing impression compound, and type 2 impression compound, known as a high fusing impression compound. The flow at the 37 degrees centigrade for type 1 impression compound is less than 6%, and for type 2 impression compound is less than 2%. The flow at the 45 degrees centigrade for a type 1 impression compound is more than 85%, and for type 2 impression compound more than 70 to 85%. The use of type 1 impression compound for the primary impression are the impression of single crowns for the copper band impressions, and type 2 impression compound used as tray material that are sufficiently rigid to support other impression materials. Now, we will talk about the manipulation of impression compound. There are the two ways of softening of impression compound. First, water bath. The sheet or cakes are manipulated in controlled warm water bath and require dry kneading with the fingers. When compound is heated, the outside part always softens first and the inner part softens later. That's why the impression compound require kneading. The temperature of water bath will be 60 to 65 degrees centigrade, and the sticks are manipulated over the direct heat. Now, we will talk about the properties of impression compound. First, glass transition temperature. The temperature at which the material loses its hardness or the brittleness on heating or form a rigid mass upon cooling, that is known as a glass transition temperature. Glass transition temperature for the impression compound is 39 degrees centigrade. Now, we will talk about the fusion temperature of impression compound. What is fusion temperature? Heating at approximately 43.5 degrees centigrade, material softened to a plastic mass that can be manipulated. That means in this temperature, all the crystalline fatty acids melt. So we can use the impression compound now at this temperature to make impression. This is known as the fusion temperature. Now, we will talk about the thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity of impression compound is low. During softening of material, the outside always softens first and inside later, just because of its thermal conductivity low, and that's why we require kneading for softening of the inner side of material. Now, thermal contraction. The average linear contraction of impression compound from mouth temperature to the room temperature may vary between the 0.3 to 0.4%. Now, we will talk about the flow of impression compound. Flow at the 37 degrees centigrade. We can see at the graph. At the 37 degrees centigrade, the flow of impression compound should not be more than the 6%. At the 45 degrees centigrade, should not be less than 85%. Now we will talk about the distortion. Stress may set up in a compound during its adaptation to the tissue or its removal from the mouth. Before removal of impression is allowed through cooling, thorough cooling, in order to reduce the possible distortion from the stress relief. To construct a die or a cast, the impression should be poured as soon as possible, at least within the first 1 hour. Now we will talk about the advantages of impression compound. The material can be reused at a number of times. Second, inaccurate portion can be remade without having to remark the entire impression. Third, accuracy can be improved by flaming the surface of impression compound. Fourth, the material has sufficient body to support itself, especially in periphery region, so it does not collapse completely if unsupported by the tray. Now we will talk about the disadvantages of impression compound. Just because of its high viscosity, it records less detail. Second, it compresses soft tissue while making impression. Third, distortion due to its poor dimensional stability. Fourth, sometimes when there is a severe undercut, the impression compound is difficult to remove. Fifth, there is always the possibility of overextension, especially in periphery regions. Thank you.